Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 21 of the ANR Design Unholstered podcast. I'm your host, Alex Costa, and today we have a part two follow-up with Tony Cowden, and he's got a great announcement. He's already made an announcement. He's going to tell us a lot about what's going on with him in politics, what his goals are within North Carolina, and what the greater goal is for his political career, advancements he wants to make, and where he wants to go with it. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Here's Tony Cowden.
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me back, Alex. Yeah, so we just announced that I'm going to run for Congress and presumably District 4 of North Carolina. And let me make a correction there, right? This is a big deal to me. I'm not running for Congress. I'm running to be a representative, right? It's a big deal. It's a big difference to me. The words have meanings, right? The word Congress means meeting. I don't want to be a person. I want to be a congressperson, a person of meetings, or a congressman. I want to be a man of meetings. I want to represent the people of my district. And it's a district that I live in. And I don't think a lot of Americans know this, but so many of the people they elect to represent them don't even live or aren't even from the districts that they're running in, right? Like a sheriff in North Carolina has to live in the county he wants to run in, but representatives do not. And so we see folks jumping around all the time. Well, I'm not doing that. Right now, North Carolina, they redistricted. So I now live in the 4th district. So the Democrats don't like the new districts. So there is a new lawsuit. So things got kind of put on hold. The official filing period got put on hold. The primaries, where, there's a runoff between all the Republicans, got switched from March the 6th to May the 17th. So while we're sorting out that mess, or while the courts are going to sort out that mess, I'm continuing to plan that the 4th district will remain unchanged or mostly unchanged. Whatever happens, my intent is to run in whatever district encompasses where I live in Sampson County, North Carolina. So that's a little bit of backstory or whatever. The recent events, at least. For me, and a lot of folks have said and have taken note that my social media has changed in the last 6 months. My personal page, I went from how to shoot a pistol or whatever to more current events, speaking about current events, my take on current events, my take on the horrible trajectory that our nation is on. And a lot of people have taken note of that. So as I have started paying more and more attention to what's going on with our country, I made the decision that I can't continue to sit on the sidelines and talk about the problems if I'm not willing to get right in there and help sort out the solutions. So we made a decision to do this, and here we go. I, like so many of us, I'm just fed up with elitism, the establishment, right? The Democrats and the extreme liberal Democrats have too much traction, too much power. They're definitely taking our country down a path most Americans don't want it to go down. Right. I'm not even really that concerned with that part. That's the easy part. That's the clear and known of opposition. That's a clear and known opponent, adversary, right? I don't want to get overly dramatic, use the word enemy. But they are what they are. They're known. So I can do like most Republicans and just post on social media about how effed up the Democrats are. Or I can start talking about how the Republicans need to get their stuff together and organized like the Democrats are and get successful about returning America to a flatter trajectory. Get it back on track. Get it back on a good, healthy path that's built around principles and values that most Americans have and that our founding fathers intended. So that's that, man. That's the 1 over 100,000. Folks are asking me about policies and stuff like that. I'm still learning a lot. Clearly, I'm not a politician. I just before, a few weeks ago, never intended on being in politics, never intended on running. I have, some people say that's why you're going to be good at it or whatever. And I tell them, no, that's not why I'm good at it. The reason I'm going to be good at it is because I have shoulders and a spine, right? So many people get involved in politics and become part of the corrupt machine. Did I lose you there for a second?
For a second. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right.
Sorry about that.
That's cool, man.
Got a low battery indicator. I'm going to have to plug it in real quick.
That's okay.
But I'm only going to commit to the max of 4 terms, right? And I haven't even got elected for the first one yet, right? But my promise to the people of the 4th District, North Carolina, and the nation is that I'm going to push for term limits and a retirement age. Of course, that's going to upset a lot of the establishment, isn't it?
The whole establishment.
Right. Right. It's going to probably piss them all off because which freshman Republican is talking about either one of those things right now? 0. Why? Because as soon as they get in there, now they start seeing a future of 30 years. Yeah.
All the money, man.
I don't need to do this, right? Like, my business is doing great. I'm actually pretty happy. Right? I finally get to a point in my life where I've got a little slice of heaven. Melissa and I are doing great. Everything is good for me right now. My business, like I said, man, I'm doing what I enjoy. We just built that new long range. I'm teaching and shooting way more long range now, which I really do enjoy. I just can't complain. So here I am taking on this, and it's definitely going to cause some issues. And I tell people all the time, my intent, and a lot of people know this. We talked about it. My intent was to move out west.
Right.
I want to move to Idaho or potentially Montana. Well, clearly, I'm putting that on hold.
I'm glad you didn't leave because the East Coast needs more strength over here. Because like Montana, Idaho, they're pretty well fortified where it comes to Congress people, congressmen and women. The governor of South Dakota is a badass. They're good out there. We need more strength on the East Coast. And I'm originally from Massachusetts. I moved to New Hampshire to get away from all the legislation and all the infringement, and that's starting to bleed over. We're getting a lot of people from Massachusetts coming up to New Hampshire. And they're getting into politics in New Hampshire because there's an Irish gentleman that was on Tucker Carlson's show maybe like a year ago, and he talked about how small town politics in New Hampshire is the best model of how U.S. politics should be. And I thought it was a really neat little conversation they had. And he lives in New Hampshire, and he's like, I'm involved in politics in New Hampshire, and I'm not from this country, but of course, in New Hampshire, there's just as many issues with politics and the greed and the capabilities of politicians, but it's on such a smaller level, and it doesn't really affect too much here. So I think we just need more of that. But the problem is all these people are coming up from Massachusetts going, well, we want to move to New Hampshire with less taxes and less this and less that and less infringement. And then they get here and they're like, they see one person walk through a supermarket with a fucking pistol on their hip and they're like, oh no, we can't have that, And it's like, how about you fuck off? We're ranked number 1 state in the country in terms of for jobs, for vacationing, for fucking everything. Don't come here and fuck it up. So, and North Carolina's got its own set of fucking challenges, and no, it's really awesome to see the outpour of people that are in support of you and want to see this. And I don't think there's anyone that's this involved in our community that's as outspoken as you, that has the presence to do what you want, you're setting yourself out to do. And I mean, dude, good on you too, because I know a lot of former operator dudes that end up doing firearm instruction and never find fulfillment in just shooting, and they might have everything that you have, but they just never find that fulfillment, or they never actually, like you said, have shoulders and spine. They never actually act on the things they talk about. So the fact that you are stepping up, I think that's going to be an inspiration for the next generation as well. And you talk about the next generation quite a bit. And I think we do need people that, you know, are confident in their leadership, like yourself, to be those, you know, not idolizing you, but be the why can't the word is eluding me. Yeah, just mentor. They need more mentorship and more real. You know, like, you're a real fucking dude. You tell it how it is, and I don't think you're one to fucking be swooned, moved by money.
I tell it the I see it. I tell it the way I see it, and that clearly the way I see things have to go through filters of experiences and perceptions of all the things that have made me over the last 45 years.
Right.
And so I try to keep it practical, you know, and to me, you know, there's just some basic things we have to do to get things back on track. Term limits, retirement age. Well, a lot of people don't want to talk about that, but if the military has a retirement age, why doesn't House of Representatives, Senate, and any other elected office, right? Why do we have great grandparents who can't operate a motor vehicle running our country? I mean, is that not a viable question? So, of course, you know, I'm not an idealist, right? I'm a pretty practical person. I have no misconceptions that we're just going to change this aircraft carrier's path, you know, right? It's not a Ferrari. That's not what America is. So it is going to take some time. And one of those big things, you know, it's like, hey, bang for the buck, return on investment, you know, basic business strategies. To me, the bang for the buck, right? We know we're going to have to start with the next generation. And parents are fed up, right? You said this earlier, you know, people are fed up. And finally, while local politics in New Hampshire hasn't affected many people, well, now all the stuff we've been seeing in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's finally catching up.
Right.
People are pissed that the government is telling them that their children have to wear masks, when we all know the children have very low risks, right? We're causing other issues. So my thing, you know, a big thing for me is school choice, right? A parent should be able to choose where their child goes to school. The money follows the child. So if this school over here is not performing and not providing parents what they want their kids to learn, they're not hiring the teachers, or they're teaching critical race theory or any other wazoo made up history of America. And don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not disillusioned at all. Every history we teach here has a bias, right? Every history of America has a bias, right? Like, everyone thinks Abraham Lincoln was the best president ever. Honest Abe. He also was the first president, one of two, to withdraw and suspend the writ of habeas corpus, due process. He imprisoned his political rivals. Honest Abe wasn't so honest. He's definitely a mythical creature in our history.
Right.
And I always tell people, read. You can just read, right? Research this stuff. So if you don't believe me about Abraham Lincoln, just go look into his what he actually did. Anyway, you know, school choice. We got to fix taxes. The IRS is out of control. You know, I tell people all the time, like, man, I owe the IRS some taxes, because they assessed me on taxes far outside of what I actually owed when I sold my home in over close to Pinehurst area in Moore County. And I've been trying to deal with that for almost 10 years, actually more than 10 years now. And you can't even get someone on the phone with the IRS. And when we finally did, I mean, I had to hire a tax attorney, right? I had to hire a tax attorney, pay more money to an attorney so he could get the IRS on the horn. When we finally got someone, we had the hurricane that flooded a lot of eastern North Carolina 4 years ago, and it flooded the IRS building in Fayetteville where that agent's office was. 6 months went by, we didn't hear them, right? But if you owe taxes, if your house gets flooded, the IRS don't give a shit.
Nope.
You know what I mean? They're not going to give you 6 months. of leeway because your house got flooded. So my point is, man, there's all these basic things that you and I and guys like us and Americans like us, male, female, doesn't really matter, we're just fed up with. And that's what I want to address. And people keep asking me, right? Because I've already started fundraising, and that's an ugly truth of this, is that I have to fundraise. I have to ask people for money for the first time in my life.
Right.
Because I have to pay for TV slots. I have to compete with other folks who want to run this race who have more money than me.
They were born with money, old money. It's
right now, and I'm, like I said, I'm keeping it clean, at least for right now. Potentially, there's a candidate, he's not announced yet, who's looking at the same district, who apparently his father pledged $1 million to his campaign. Yeah, I don't have that. How do I compete with that? Well, here's how I compete with that. That young man has zero life experience whatsoever. And ultimately, that's why we have elections, so the people can look at the candidates and decide what's best for them. And that's the straight reality. If the people decide I am not for them, then they won't elect me. And that's okay. That's what's awesome about this system. And everyone, I keep hearing on Instagram, man, on all my posts, there's always these young, upset guys, and I give them a hard time. The system is broken. They want to talk about revolution and stuff like that. Other means. No, the system is not broken. The people in the system is broken. Right. The system needs a tune-up. We don't need to throw it in the trash.
Right.
Our founding fathers were some brilliant human beings. They created the most perfect union they could create at the time. Yes, there's some things we could tweak, right? Campaign finance, lobbying. They never saw that stuff coming. And how could they? How could they see these multi-billion-dollar corporations, right, getting involved in politics like they have? They couldn't. So anyway, we're just getting started. And it's been nothing but promising so far because, last week I was talking to all of my closest friends, family, and then the next echelon of very close acquaintances. And then I reached out to that next outer ring of friends that I know from the Instagram, social media world and stuff, other influencers in the community.
Yep.
And so far, man, not a single person, not one person has told me I should not do this.
Right.
Everyone is like, I'll donate. How can I help? So up until now, man, we've got nothing but great feedback. So I'm going to give it a whirl, man. It's a whole totally different fight than any fight I've ever been involved in.
Probably the most meaningful.
It's got to be the most meaningful.
Right.
It's got to be the most meaningful, right? 21 years of war in the Middle East, Central Asia. For what? Right? Congress never authorized those wars. They shrugged. Every member of Congress since 2001 has shrugged their responsibility to authorize or deny these wars.
Well, why? You know why? We all know why. It's the money.
Yeah.
It's the money.
Right.
How many, like COVID, right? COVID created 19, 20 new billionaires in the world. And you actually start looking at people in Congress and how much money people become millionaires being in Congress. Wonder why? Oh, because they hear things and see things that other people don't, and they make those investment opportunities with the money that they've made, and they end up becoming. And it's insider trading at its deepest core. I mean, look at Pelosi. Before they even announced the first case of COVID in the United States, Pelosi and her husband pulled a ton of money out of a bunch of different companies and reinvested it. Prior to this was SHOT Show 2020. No, 2000 was it 2020? Yeah, 2020. Right before we saw this money get pulled, and people are like, something's coming. When Pelosi starts moving, her husband start moving money around, something's fucking coming. And that's another person made their millions in Congress. AOC, poor little bartender from Boston, going to the Met Gala with a fucking 5-figure dress and talking about taxing the rich. Girl, you are rich.
Yeah.
So
you're one of them now.
So it's dude, it's so refreshing. You're a good speaker too. You do have a presence with you when you speak, but you have a humility to you as well. And I'm really excited. I really hope the 2A community, the gun community, the Instagram community around a lot of your successes digitally champion you for this, because I mean, who the fuck do we have? Like the NRA? Like, what does the NRA do? And then within the NRA, everyone's like, fuck the NRA. Well, I signed up as a lifetime member years ago. And the nice thing about being a lifetime member is I do go to the annual meetings so that I can go vote to try to change the NRA. And the problem is not enough young people are becoming life members of the NRA, so they actually go to the actual meetings that are held where you actually hold votes. Everyone's on the internet bitching about the NRA, and I bitch about the NRA too, but I at least am a lifetime member. I show up and I vote.
Well, that's no difference than this, right? Plenty of folks have noticed that shift in my social media, where I started putting all my gun and fitness stuff instead of my personal page over on the Capable Inc. page, and now I've been talking about current events on my page, my personal page. And so some people weren't surprised at all, right? And my take is this: I can't keep posting, whining, fussing if I'm not willing to actually get in the fight and do something. I've been kind of sitting back because there's a lot of loudmouths in the Second Amendment community, and also in the so-called conservative side of even the House of Representatives and Senate. Right. A lot of loudmouths. And all they do is talk about what's wrong with the Democrats. And I'm going, the Democrats are not even the problem. The problem are all of us sitting back, being complacent, and not getting involved. The system works. And if you don't understand that, if you can't see the clear example of the system working, then take a step back and look at how successful the Democrats and the extreme leftist liberals, the communists in this country, how successful they have been in the last 80 years.
Right.
The system supports the people that get involved, right? We, the people that get involved, which have been the leftists and the socialists, have gotten everything they wanted. So the system, plain as day, in my eyes, works. So the day that conservative, hardworking Americans actually get involved, man, we'll flip this thing right back around, because there's still more conservative, principled Americans in this country than there are socialists.
True.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if I can't tell people, right? I mean, the Army, man, the Army has this leadership thing, right? Where they're like, you have to, you be the example, exceed the standards, or, you'll hear set the standard. Well, no, there's the standard, exceed them. Well, if the standard is me telling people to get involved, well, you know what? I guess I'll lead by example. And it's not about leadership, man. To me, it's about mentoring, motivating. What is leadership, right? The definition is to influence, motivate, right? The Army has its definition. Webster's has its definition. And it's easy to say America has no leadership. That's not true. The Dems and the socialists have some very effective leaders. It's the conservatives that don't, right? No one that can step up and motivate the 22s, the 21s, the 18-year-olds to the 50-year-olds. Because you know who does vote? 50-year-olds and older. They vote in the primaries. They vote in the generals. They vote local. Whereas the rest of us are worried about what barrel length our carbines are, or what color Cerakote you put on your Glock, or what red dot you have on whatever pistol. And none of that matters if we lose our rights to have all of that.
Right. I mean, for example, right? My parents, they're Democrats, right? They were. They are again. Anyway, grew up, Democrat family, really wasn't political. Fox was never on, whatever. And then through Obama, I saw a political shift in my parents. Parents are like, he's fucking destroying the country. So you see this shift, and you see my dad start watching more conservative television and focusing on more conservative candidates and stuff like that. My mom too, just kind of like, yeah, this, that, and another. And it was okay, right? It seemed like they didn't like the Obama years, and then then here comes Trump. And at first they were like, oh, this is not bad. Like they're focusing on the policies, and then he opens his mouth. And my parents are back, like you said, the 50 pluses are back in that era where when the president opens his mouth, it's time to fucking sit down and listen. It's usually important. But the problem was political leadership is making a mockery of political leadership. And I do appreciate some of the windows that Trump let into the community, because he showed that he could run his mouth and get away with it for a long time. But again, there's still that presence that a president is supposed to bring when they walk in the room, and he lost that with the childish banter on Twitter. And then if you actually look at policies, you're like, damn, his policies were good. He pardoned Susan B. Anthony, women's rights. There was a lot of things that he did in the gay community too that people are just all focused on, oh, no gays in the military. But he did do pro-LGBT stuff. Like he did all this other stuff. He did a lot of anti-gun stuff too. But if it's just like, man, shut the fuck up. And my parents, I go, why have you looked at his policies? Yeah, his policies are fine, but we hate him for what comes out of his mouth, right?
Just a few miles south of you in Boston is my older sister. Very intelligent human being, super intelligent human being, mostly moderate, mostly a capitalist when it comes to work and earning money. But man, how many females in that demographic were pushed out? Or I don't know if they were pushed. They were led away. They were turned off, and they went and voted for Biden.
Right.
So we can tune that up a little bit. I'm still of a solid belief that yes, the president has so much influence over so many things, but there's a balance of power here, right?
Right.
And Congress has neglected its duty, its role, and its responsibilities by not putting things in place that protect America from the craziness of any president. Right. Just like they took the responsibilities for these wars, right? President after president after president now for 21 years have led us into these wars. And Congress didn't do a darn thing about it. That is their job per the Constitution.
Right.
And since I just used the word Constitution, right? While I'm still learning a lot about policies, I was having a conversation with a hog farmer friend of mine, my neighbor. He farms hogs, cattle, and grain. And we were talking about things that concern him. Clearly, I don't know much about the FDA and the USDA and how they interfere, and EPA.
I was going to say EPA too, yeah.
All interfere with him making a living. And I'm talking to him so I can learn, right? Like I said, I don't know much. But here's the deal. What I have told, because I've been asked and grilled by some pretty smart people who have been involved in politics. I've been asked things. What is your thoughts on this? I'm like, let me be straight with you. I don't know yet. I'm getting smart about anything and everything I can as fast as I can.
Right.
If I don't know and you wonder, if you boil anything down, you're going to come up with me looking to two documents. First and foremost, the Constitution. And secondly, I wouldn't say first and foremost, equally, the Ten Commandments. I tell people straight up, I'm a Christian. I was raised a Christian. The freedom of religion and every word in that Constitution is important to me and all of us, just like every word in the Bible is important to me. I'm not evangelical, and I'm not a preacher. I'm not recruiting for the church per se. Every religion that I have interacted with and studied and lived with the people of other religions, they have a Ten Commandments as well.
Common
So my
sense.
point about, right, it's like, don't kill people. Oh, okay, that's
Don't steal.
that's sensible, right? You know, so that's it. That's it right there. If people are wondering, hey, what does Tony Cowden stand for, or whatever? Hey, man, it's two things, right? And it's that Constitution. And then the third is, what do the people of my district want? Not what I think they need. What do they want? What do they need? Who am I to tell hardworking American man and woman with two kids, right, trying to get by, trying to get their kid a good education, trying to run interference on the education system, trying to teach their kid a bunch of liberal crap? How do they do all that? Well, the question really is, how do we make all of that better for them? Not necessarily easier, right? Nothing worth having is easy.
Right.
Hardworking Americans are going to continue to work hard. So how do we put more money in their pockets? Well, right now, the Senate is trying to bump the debt ceiling up, right? Along with a bunch of Republicans. More debt. And if there's one thing every powerful civilization in the history of the world has succumbed to, it's debt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everyone, at least that, right? So we need to address that. And I'm not an idiot, right? I don't claim to be a genius, but if we are to pay off the current debt, and we took every tax dollar revenues that the federal government gets, it would take 7 to 10 years. But what we can do is create a 30-year plan, right? I don't hear anyone talking about what our government is going to do 30 years from now. What is the plan? What is that long-term plan? That's very indicative of Americans, right? Most Americans have a plan for this weekend.
Yeah.
Not this same weekend 20 years from now. And that's how the government's got to start thinking.
One thing, as someone who, look, I did politics as a kid. I was in Junior Statesman of America. It was one of my favorite clubs that I was in in a high school. And Mr. Morey, my teacher, awesome dude. I never picked my challenges in it. I always said, Mr. Morey, I didn't select something, but I want to speak in DC, or I want to speak it when we go to Boston, and all these, we go to these conventions essentially for kids. And I picked the hardest ones for me. And there was like 3 all Jewish schools there. And he gave me a Palestinian defense case with 3 Israeli schools, or 3 Jewish academies, and a lot of, Israeli born kids that go to those academies, and they're all from New York. And he's like,
wow.
I had a guy, and I did a lot of, forensics on the war, and, weapons technology versus, on either side. And there's just thousands and thousands of evidence of, unarmed civilians being gunned down by Israeli troops. And obviously I'm a kid, right? So I'm looking at the macro of it all and trying my best to go through. I forget the topic, and I actually had a gentleman in the back of the room stand up and tell me he was going to kill me, right? A Jewish gentleman.
As a child.
And I was a kid, and this guy was probably 18, right? He was definitely at the higher threshold of the age limit for high school. Mm-hmm. And like my teacher was like afraid for me. But I also had 20 or 30, and I started my whole debate with this other person I was debating against. I started with, I do not have a side here, okay? I asked for the most challenging bill debate that I could possibly handle here at this convention, and this is what my teacher gave to me. So this is completely unbiased. This is just looking at media, facts, history, technology, whatever. Just please don't villainize me for a perspective that I chose to argue in this debate. And 20 or 30 students from these schools came up, and they said, you did a really good job. Like, we are obviously have a certain bias in our hearts from what we've learned over the years from our parents and history. But if we erase all of that hate that we have for the other side, and we actually listened to your facts, your points. Like, we appreciate what you did, right? And that like made me feel good, because like, okay, people that were clearly there for the one student from that all Jewish academy doing their debate towards me, but 30 people came up to me and told me I did a good job.
Right.
So and I thought, people just have to have a more open mind of things, right? And I was having a conversation. This is kind of related to like the next generation coming up. I said, my barber is a lesbian, fucking best barber in our city. And her and she's liberal, but we have very moderate conversations where we can educate each other for different perspectives very easily. No one ever gets upset. No one ever takes a stance where it's like, she might say something like, she mentioned like, Kyle Rittenhouse should have caught a charge or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, as a self-defense, and I explained to her from like the law point of view, and I understand like firearm law and stuff like that a little bit more than most people, because I have an FFL and an SOT. I have to work with the ATF, and I need to know interstate transfer of firearms and FOPA and all these things that most people don't even think of. And so we have these like very adult, moderate conversations where we just hear each other's perspectives, and it's fucking awesome. And I said, and we were talking about a person that I went to college with, who still goes by his birth name of Kelsey, is no longer a female, is now transition male. And I accidentally used the wrong pronoun, because that person still goes by Kelsey, and I said she. And I apologized. I was like, shit, we're talking about, people like whatever. And I said she. I was like, shit, I fucked up that person's pronoun. And I'm still like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, fuck pronouns, fuck this, fuck that. Like, I'm not callous. I'm always just trying to be respectful, because I think everyone has a perspective. So I fucked up the pronoun, and my barber, Erica, was just like, Alex, don't worry about it. I don't care. She's like in her mid 40s. She has a son. Her and her wife have a son. They did like not the surrogate thing, but they went to a bank, and they have a child together. It's amazing, beautiful boy. And she says, Alex, I'm from the age and generation of like, we didn't give a fuck about pronouns. We just gave a fuck that we have rights. Like I have a wife, have a child.
You said it. Give people respect.
Right.
Give them respect. On the individual level, I have no problems, right? I'm not mad at anyone, no matter if they're in a transition, if they're gay, who cares, right? Like, that's not a thing to me. It never has. I wasn't raised to think like that. What I think most people are actually tired of is it being rammed down our throat.
Right.
We have to not give equal rights. We have to provide additional and extra rights to special interests. I don't think human beings are special interests, right? Special interests are like lobbyists for industry. Human beings are not special interest.
Right.
So gay rights, that's the same rights as I have that you have, right?
So yes. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off for 2 seconds. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. So the conversation wasn't about gay rights. I just want to just real quick. So she just was like, look, I don't care about the pronoun. Like, you fucked it up, not a big deal. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't offend me. She goes, I'm from the generation that just cares about having rights. She said the up and coming, and this is what she said. She said the problem with the next generation, the younger generation, is they're obsessed with titles. She says it's good that they have pronouns, what they want to be called, but at the same token, there's all these little subcategories and subgenders that people are creating to create an identity for just themselves. And she's like, yes, they are identities. Yes, they are genders. But the kids are obsessed with titles, making sure they have a title, and then they're making that title define them. And that's not what defines you. Your gender doesn't define you. Your sexual preference doesn't define you. And she went on to say, like, these things shouldn't define people, but the media and all of this and the wokeness, and the problem is people are defining themselves by these. Plug your phone in. Kids have to.
Let's just plug that in.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
to just like people are just defining themselves by a title rather than just being good people and doing the right thing and just like for me, I believe something that defines me is my truth. I'm too truthful. I'm too honest. If we have a kind of bond, connection, friendship, and you're like, hey man, what do you think of this person and their company? And like, if it's, I just assume it's in confidence. I'll just be like, okay, well, this is the experience I had with that person. I like this about their business, and I don't like that. And some people take that as shit talking, and I'm just like, you asked me a question, I'm just going to answer it.
Well, these days, if you say anything derogatory about anyone, right, that's just negative. It's not even hurtful. Then all of a sudden you're attacking them, right? I made a post about Representative Tom Massey's family Christmas photo.
Oh, I was going to bring that up today too.
By all accounts, Tom Massey is a good human being, and he's been a good representative for his district. No doubt about it. He is definitely, as most people said to me, one of the good ones. That does not give a representative a pass if they do something that's deserving of scrutiny. And that's what I was doing. Our representatives work for us, man. We have the authority to scrutinize their every single action and behaviors.
Right.
So what Tom Massey or any other representative did yesterday, last week, last year, or 5 years ago is not very relevant to me, right? Like, I live in that world where every day is a selection. Tell me about today, what'd you do today, and tell me what you're going to do tomorrow. And tell me about the next 20-year plan for our country. And no one has that. So, yeah, it's all like, if you say anything bad about anybody, now you're attacking them. I was not attacking Representative Massey. I don't attack people, right? Like, where I come from, an attack is to use the colloquial term, a kinetic event, right? For me to say words, to me, that is just an action review. If I do something, and I'll try to keep things facing me, right? So this conversation can't be nitpicked, right? But if I do something worthy of scrutiny per my peers or per society, or just let's say it's per you, Alex, right? Like, I do something and you're not proud of me for it. You're just like, we're friends, right? You call me up, you say, hey man, Tony, you know what? I heard that you did this in a business deal with that guy or that business. And man, it doesn't sound good. Okay, Alex, well, tell me about it. Tell me why you don't think this is good, right? Tell me. I'm going to ask you first to give me your input. And then we can talk about it and have a discussion. And I might be like, well, here's why you're wrong. You don't have all the information. Or maybe, and this is crazy, this is some insane stuff. Maybe I step back and analyze myself. And I go, wow, you know what? Now that you bring it to my attention, when I did that thing and to the next thing, man, I could have done that better. You know what? Maybe I owe that person on the receiving end an apology. Ooh, crazy. Maybe they deserve a phone call, and we'll go hash it out. Hey, Alex, man, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. Or maybe I go, bro, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. F off. Hey, but we had a discussion, right? We had a discussion. And like I said, man, if Thomas Massey, Representative Massey, wants to discuss with me my take on the Second Amendment, he is welcome to come to my range. We will have a great time shooting. I'm sure I'll get an opportunity at some point to meet the man. And I'm not mad at him.
What happened, by the way? Because I didn't see what happened between the posts that you.
Just more backstory for other folks that didn't, right? Representative Thomas Massey is a conservative, principled, good man, right? But he posted a picture of his family all with fully automatic weapons, an M60, all around the Christmas tree. And my take was, that's an out of touch crappy position to take. Hey, look at me and my family with all these NFA items. And I'm guessing they're not items he even owns, right? They didn't look like they look pretty new or whatever. They look like props. But even still, the message was he was trying to convey a message that he supports the Second Amendment. And so does his whole family. I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as, hey, sir, you've gone too far, right? You're showing us that you can afford fully automatic weapons. The reason why fully automatic weapons are expensive, or far more expensive than they would be, is because of the NFA, right? The $200 tax stamp, right now, if it was actually adjusted for inflation, what would it be? I mean, I don't even know the number there, but it wouldn't be $200. That $200 in, what was it, 1930s or whatever? Don't quote me on whenever the NFA was put in to place. But $200 back then was a big deal. So these items are illegal. Right? And this is what I think so many Americans don't understand about tax stamps and permits. These items are illegal unless you can afford to own them.
Right. Do you know how much an M60 is? A pre-86 transferable M60?
I know of one that a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, bought last year for $52,000.
I was going to say, if it's an unfired M60, like, I mean, you're looking at $60,000 to $90,000. So if those were all pre-ban, new, unfired machine guns or lightly fired machine guns, I mean, I remember when I first got into NFA, I bought a Mac 11, right? SWD, and my business partner and I, was our first investment for our business, because we do own a lot of machine guns, and we bought them as investments, because that creates, the equity of the business, right? We can't just spend money on machines because then we max out our machinery. We do invest money in things like guns, because if we need money in a hurry, we can sell things. So it's an opportunity for a liquid asset that creates value to your business, but is also a bargaining chip, something you could trade, sell, or whatever, get rid of. And it has value. And it's a quick turnaround. And we bought like a portion of Larry Vickers' machine gun collection a couple of years ago. Not a very small sliver, but we have some really cool guns. And it adds to the growth equity of the business. If you don't have, I don't want to just sit on, let me buy all these aim point optics and sit on them. Well, that's not equity for the bit. Like, yeah, we can sell them, but every year that's something that's taxed. So if it's in inventory and it's there to be sold, then that's what's called cost of goods sold, and you pay taxes. So if you have inventory and you don't have a lot of liquid cash, the IRS taxes your cost of goods sold, meaning, all the kydex at the end of the year, everything has a dollar amount for a potential for cash in the future. The IRS wants to know that. So Massey posting this picture with $300,000 worth of machine guns and all his kids, posing in front of the Christmas tree asking for more ammo. You can fucking afford it if you have $300,000 in guns sitting there. Like, Jesus Christ. So I get your perspective, and I totally respect it. I thought it was tacky, like kitschy, like stop, bro.
The optics were just wrong. Like, whoever told him that was a good idea, and whoever did not tell him the way it was going to be received by some of us, did him a disservice. His team let him down.
Right.
And like I said, man, what some of the feedback I got was, he's a good one. Why are you attacking a good one? I'm not attacking him. I am scrutinizing one post he made. I know he's only one guy, and I know his only one vote is one vote. Well, how about let's elect more Thomas Masseys, which I promise, if you think Thomas Massey is pro Second Amendment, then you know what? I'll tell my folks, hey, just vote for me. Me and Thomas Massey will team up with any and every other true Second Amendment supporter that gets elected in 2022. And man, there are some amazing candidates out there. I was on a conference call a couple of nights ago with 20 veterans who were running. It was 19 or 20. It might have even been 21 by the time someone else joined the call and a couple of people had to leave. Whatever. Amazing patriots who none of which aspired to be politicians. We were all in the same boat. Not a single person in that conference call wants to be in politics, but we all feel like, hey, man, if not me, then who? That type of that catchphrase. I tell people, that's just the ugliness of politics. I'm like I told you, I'm at that point now where I got to start asking for money. If the fellow I'm running against, if his dad gives him $1 million, well, I've got to raise enough to counter that.
Right. And how you can make all that money? It's pretty easy. Boxing match with Crenshaw. He's too busy looking at cat pictures with Carol fucking Baskins.
I'm not in the business, right? Like,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, let's just say this. If Dan Crenshaw would like to do an exhibition match, a fundraiser for an amazing charity, I say let's do it. I'd be happy to oblige in that case. But I think this, right? Dan Crenshaw catches a lot of flack, from me included, for some of his stances. My biggest problem with him is he's just another person who posts every day about what the Democrats are doing and rarely about what he and the Republicans are doing to counter that stuff, right? Like, hey, guys, I get it. I'm tired of hearing about what the Democrats are doing. I can go to 20 different representatives' pages, and that's all they're talking about. So for me, that's my problem with Dan Crenshaw is like, hey, bro, what are you going to do to make it better? I think Dan Crenshaw is not a lost member of the House of Representatives. I don't think he's lost. I think he needs a bunch of teammates to help him stay on track. He needs a caucus, right? Right now, there are 5 Navy SEALs running, and I've posted about them, like, hey, go send Eli Crane some money. He's running in Arizona. Or Collins, former Special Forces, amputee, stud of a human being, trying to flip a seat down in Florida. Send that dude some money. Send him $10, send him $10 a month, whatever. Send him what you can afford. Because if we can get all 5 Navy SEALs and all 4 Special Forces guys and all 20 some other veterans, if we can get half of that into Congress, now we have a caucus. Now we have a group of like-minded people that the rest of the House is going to have to take seriously.
Right.
And then that's 2022. Let's go ahead and start talking about 2024. In some of my phone conversations this week with other influencer types, a couple who are still in the military, a couple who are doing this and that, my conversation was, yes, could you repost my videos announcing, could you ask people for me to help fundraise, all that kind of stuff. And then I asked them, would they consider running in 2024? And I promised them, if I'm elected in 2022, I will support them in 2024. And that's how we make America great again, by putting the right people in place, the right people.
Right.
In the military, we always say we're not looking for the best people. We're looking for the right people.
Right. That's
the approach the American people have to take when electing and voting in 2022. Enough of the elitism. Enough of the attorneys. There are 170 some attorneys in Congress right now. When you read anything an attorney writes, it's always a stack of paperwork, right?
So nothing gets done.
Right.
They just argue their point till they beat a fucking dead horse to death, and it's like, oh, here's all the facts. Here's another thing that I don't like about the social media aspect and all these fucking politicians is no one actually posts like the positive things that they're doing. Like, what bills, what are you changing? What bills have you passed? What bills did you write? Like, instead of just being like, oh, fuck the left, they're going to fuck this all up. How about you show us what you're actually doing? Because then if we can see what kind of bills is Crenshaw actually working on and passing, show us the actual stuff that you're signing and you've put into law that's better for this country. Because if you actually show change, then you'll motivate change. And it's just like, all it's been between these, like we talked about titles earlier with the younger generation, with current politics, it's who can point more fingers at the other side, who can feel more attacked and champion people to an argument rather than to physical and real change. And it's really fucking sad, you know, and the warping with media, and then warping the language, like what words mean are all changing now. Things are offensive to people, but they're not supposed to be offensive to anyone. Right. They're supposed to represent something completely different, but one person or group or whatever uses it in a negative way. Now it's negative for everyone, and it's fucked up.
Hardworking, principled Americans are just tired of it. We're all just fed up, fucking fed up. I'm not voting for an elitist, right? I'm not voting for someone who got their money from their family. I'm only looking at self-made. I'm looking at that grassroots. I'm looking at small business owners. I'm not voting for any more elitists ever, right? And maybe I'm biased, right? Because I'm not able to enter this race and self-fund, right? Which was a cool thing with Trump, right? He said, I'll pay for my own campaign. I can't be bought. And that's huge. Here's the reality with me. I don't have $500,000 to just throw into this campaign. I don't have that. And that's a damn good thing. I have to ask you and everyone else for 10, 20 bucks, whatever you think you can afford, right? Whatever you can afford, not what you think, what you can afford. I would never ask someone to go and place themselves in a monthly budget crisis to help me fundraise. No, wrong answer. I'm a grassroots dude. I'm asking people for small dollar contributions. Will I take corporate dollars? That's going to be a big question, right? In the PACs that support me, dude, I care big time where my money comes from. I'm not taking money from any company or any person that I don't think is principled and aligned with the things that are going to help America get out of this current mess that it's in. So if a company comes along and says, Tony, we'll give you $500,000 or $1 million or $100,000, whatever the number is, it's a big number and it's tempting. But their CEO, the owner, they have a history of not doing the things that we need to go forward with. I'm not taking that money. It's just not gonna work like that. And if that means I don't get elected, okay, right? If when I get elected, it would be through righteous means.
Good.
Period. I can't be bought. It ain't happening.
So let's talk about Americans real quick. One thing that I really thought we're in an age right now where it's so easy to become a business owner. So easy to literally work from home, create something, a service. Social media has given a voice to so many people that might not have been able to be like, where do I start? How do I do this? You know, all these great ideas. The problem is,
you can get on Zoom or something similar and create an LLC in minutes.
So the problem though is, you know, you and I are old enough to see small town America get crushed by box stores, right? You get the American side box stores that stocked American made goods for a long time. And then you get the Walmart comes in, brings all the Chinese made stuff. And they drop those Walmarts in key poverty stricken middle America, knowing that this small town in Iowa, every district, town, county is going to flood to this Walmart because the cost of goods there is low enough that they're going to make the journey rather than shopping local. So that was watching America fold, watching Walmart fold America. I watched in real time growing up. And then our modern day destruction of American manufacturing is Amazon. And COVID has catapulted and galvanized Amazon so hugely that the BJ's local to us is now an Amazon distribution center. Yeah. And all the shit on Amazon is made in fucking China. And now what little American made, smaller American made companies that were actually getting a foothold, being told to shut down because of COVID and all these restrictions for COVID restrictions on businesses in America. Well, they don't have those restrictions on their employees in China right now. And they have the population of manufacturing to continue creating goods, where America's trying to shut down small America and the America to be able to fend for themselves. So COVID, Amazon, and Chinese fucking production machine is just wild, right? And so I'm really like, this is the biggest opportunity right now for Americans, because we have the means to create a business. Start sourcing your goods stateside. It's going to cost more, but it's going to pay off in the long term.
Proposal is, I want to give tax credits and incentives for people to start small businesses.
Yes.
Right? Everybody wants increased wages and hey, tax incentives are probably the biggest tool government has to incentivize all of those things.
And it works. And I can tell you it works.
You start a new business, maybe you don't pay taxes for the whole year, the first year. I mean, and I'm just throwing numbers out here right now, right? But, I'll use a very close example for me. So we have some donkeys and some chickens. I have a tractor. I'm constantly building stuff. We're welding targets. So I'm buying things from hardware stores. In Clinton, North Carolina, right here in Sampson County, there's a store called the Big Blue Store. And the Big Blue Store is a small but regionally owned, family-owned chain of farm supply, agricultural supply store. Well, right up the road is one of those corporate farm supply stores. I'll use the name Tractor Supply. They're killing Big Blue. So I don't shop at Tractor Supply.
Right.
I shop at the Big Blue Store. I just bought a new chainsaw from them. And I could have bought that same chainsaw for $70 less. But I would have had to wait a couple of days for it to be delivered if I had bought it online. So I was able to drive right up there to the Big Blue Store, and I bought a new steel chainsaw. Well, that's me. I'm building a moving target system for our long range.
Right.
And we needed a pulley system. And the guy who's building it for me sent me a link that I could have just bought it from Amazon. Nope. I drove to the Big Blue Store and I bought something similar. Instead of just ordering it from Amazon, it would have been delivered in 2 days.
Right.
What are people really buying? Right? America has become obsessed with convenience, and Amazon provides convenience. It's kind of like Uber, right? Like Uber's another good example. And I don't have any problems with Uber necessarily, but taxis were not as convenient. I can sit in the comfort of wherever and order myself an Uber on an app. So Americans are obsessed with convenience. And if it saves time,
instant gratification.
If it saves time, it'll sell, right?
And Amazon does help some American businesses too, which is the only caveat. You can have an American business on Amazon, and those companies do well. And usually, like when I do buy stuff on Amazon, if it's niche, I try to see where it's coming from, because there are American companies that are making and so on. We sold holsters on Amazon. And Amazon shut our account down and kept all the money. Why did Amazon do this? Well, people that shop on fucking Amazon, they kept like 4Gs or something like that was on our balance. And it was because we had a couple customers, I think it was like 5 or 6, that had no idea who we were. And they bought a holster without reading the description. They just saw, Glock 19 holster. So they buy it. Then they get it. And it's an inside the waistband. So then they initiate a return through Amazon. And the reason being is they sold me a left-handed holster. Well, it's an inside the waistband holster, motherfucker. It's not the wrong holster. But I can't pick up the phone as a business for Amazon, selling on Amazon, and say, hey, this is wrong. It's a right-handed holster. He's wrong. Amazon puts a strike on your account. You can only email an automated robotic service. You never actually speak to a human to rectify what's going on with your business. And then after 5 or 6 of these, like, I didn't like this concealment cloth thing that they have on it. I don't want it. And when I remove it, the screws are too long, so I'm returning it. So we had like 5 or 6 returns in like 3 or 4 months. No, we had more than that, of all these people that just didn't want to take the time to understand the product that they just bought and bought it, a mouse click to buy it rather than actually picking something that was good for them. And then when they just didn't understand it, they didn't want to try to understand it. They didn't reach out to us, because we have our website up there too. Like, reach out to us if you need help. Don't go through Amazon. Please reach out to us. We had that in the description. Like, we'll help you.
Right.
We'll fix it.
You'd have to actually read the description. And
they're not. And so we lost our Amazon account. It got frozen. They kept the money for Fallout.
Well, I say this time and time again. The reason we are where we are at right now in America as American citizens, and I'm not talking left, right, I'm talking all Americans, right? Because we're going to have to address that sooner or later, right? How do we bring the folks who are pretty close to the middle on both sides back together and create one nation again, one nation under God, right? One nation. How do we do that? A perfect union. How do we create that? We're going to have to address that.
Right.
So folks like me are going to have to start learning to resist this urge of this division and start talking about real unity, not Joe Biden's craziness of unity and any other. Heck, I don't know when was the last time America was unified? Freaking September the 12th, 2001, probably.
For a week, for a fucking week.
Yeah, maybe a few. So we're going to have to address that. But aside from that, we're going to have to start taking responsibility for our lack of action, our lack of participation in the system. The system has provided us the most luxurious and amazing civilization known or in humankind's history, right? This thing we have right here in America is amazing, but it's also fragile, and we've not been taking care of it. And it's our duty, it is our responsibility to take care of it, all the way down to the poorest 18-year-old in this country, because his or her vote is just as important as the richest 65-year-old billionaire. Now, what's the difference? The poor person can't actually spend money to influence things. We've got to address those things, man. We've got to address those things. And I think it's hilarious that 20 years ago, the Democratic Party was a party of the people. And now they're the party of the elitists. And now the Republican Party, I see there's kind of 2 sections: the old Republicans, the new Republicans who are kind of confused about where they want to go and how they're going to take things because they have no leadership. The old Republicans are, still, military industrial complex, big corporations. Man, we got to get all the best of those things and put them together, and all the worst of those things and put that in the trash.
Right.
Simple. It's not going to be though, right? Simple versus easy. Not the
How do we start? So, like, our foreign policy is kind of a big deal. Kamala Harris has no experience in foreign policy. One thing that I was noticing in these big super bills that are getting pushed through is the amount of money that we are borrowing. We're in debt, so we're borrowing this money, and then we're giving it away. Okay, so I have a customer.
I had that kind of borrowing power that I could just go to the bank, borrow millions of dollars, and then just give it away.
It blows my mind. And we have people in America. Like, one thing I used to do when I first started my business, I went to college, started a business young, might have been a little bit of a prick when I first got on social media, like young dude with a business, say some dumb shit. I used to correct people on their spelling. Someone would try to take a dig at me or something, or the company or the product, and say something, and then their vocab or grammar was wrong, right? And I'd be like, oh, that 2 should have 2 O's or something like that. Right. But then I started realizing, I have a customer that only uses voice messaging through Instagram, which is great because it has voice messaging, like the actual, like, record your voice into it. Young black guy from the South, illiterate, doesn't know how to read. And he wants help and feedback into, building out his guns. And I take the time to speak with him and to talk to him and walk him through it, because he's working at a very low paying job, but he's saving his money so he can spend money with us. Why alienate those people by, and I see it now. I see it all the time. Like I saw Q correct someone's grammar the other day, and I was like, man, I used to do that. I stopped doing it, because why would I alienate someone for having a hard upbringing and not learning something? And I stopped fucking doing that a few years ago. I grew the fuck up.
One of the best pieces of sales advice I was ever given, it was actually not even intended as advice. It was a salesperson's perspective. And this young man said, nah, I treat everyone who comes through those doors as if they can afford to buy a brand new battleship. And I was like, yeah. And we were at a car dealership, right? I was buying a truck. And yeah, man, at the time, now, I wear cowboy boots most of the time, a pair of halfway dirty stained jeans, and I don't dress really nice. I never really have. It's just my thing, right? I shop at Costco and Target and, the Big Blue store. And it was kind of eye-opening, right? You don't turn anyone down. You treat everyone equally until they prove you differently, whether it's in sales or any relationship, right? Man, I walk down the street. It's always funny because my buddies will go places with me and they're like, they're used to me, right? They get me on the range. They get the way I treat my friends. Very straightforward. Lots of time, no fluff, right? We're buddies. I don't have to be but so nice to you, right? But we go places and they're like, man, you talk to everyone. Like we'll go to Clinton, right? The nearest town. And we'll go to Lowe's or the Big Blue store or whatever. We can go to a fast food restaurant. And they're like, man, you talk to everyone. I'm like, yeah, why not? I'm trying to make friends and just be nice to people. Right?
You never know what someone has to offer. Everyone's got something to offer.
Right.
I was getting my truck fixed the other day, and lady sitting next to me in the waiting room from Uganda. I learned the history of fucking Uganda and South Sudan and why the government's corrupt and how the money's not making it back to the people. But, they're selling off property to the Chinese, and she can't stand Chinese in Africa. And I learned about that, I'm like, holy fuck. I would have never learned about Uganda and South Sudanese people and the food. She talked about food and the music. And I'm like, fuck yes. And she was very talkative and I enjoyed it.
There's not a lot of Ugandan culture in New Hampshire for you to get exposed to. That is an opportunity to learn.
Right.
I got to let my dogs in. You can probably hear them barking.
Yes. Let the maniacs in. Can I ask you one quick question? The Oryx on the right, where'd you shoot it?
New Mexico.
Oh, cool. Me too. Was that on range or off range?
It was on private land.
Oh, cool. I'm putting in. I shot mine on private land on Turner's property. Ted Turner on private land. Yeah. The guy that we had permission to hunt there, he did a lease.
Cool.
But I'm putting back in for on range. On White Sands for next year for a broken horn. I want to do broken horn on range because I got a Weatherby 6.5 300 backcountry. The new one, the carbon fiber, is like 4.67 pounds. Yeah, Oryxes are cool, man. The guide that we went, Aaron Bauer.
Delicious.
They are different.
Yeah.
Backstraps are really good. The general meat, I just grind them up. It's like someone always asks, like, what does it taste like? I said it's like beef and ground turkey made a weird thing.
Yeah. That's that's the best description I've heard of it yet, bro. I hadn't been able to come up with anything. It's almost pink meat. It was so weird, but like you said, to me it's delicious. I was just amazed at but yeah, as if beef and ground turkey got together. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I still like Axis. I like Axis better than Oryx, But man, Oryx hunt's fun. A lot of fun, man. So we're doing on range. We're gonna put in for on range. So I got the Weatherby coming. This thing is 4.6 pounds. They're putting I'm gonna put a titanium Arca rail on it, and I got a Leupold Mark 5 1.8 to 25, whatever the mid-range glasses, and I got the rings for it, the lightweight Leupold rings to go into the top of the Weatherby. And I'm looking at a fucking super lightweight rifle that's ethical out to like 1200, because when we first got on them, I had a Hell's Canyon Browning X-Bolt 300 Win that just did not like a single cartridge that I fucking put in that gun during zero. So I wasn't confident past 400 yards with that gun. And I didn't bring my tripod with me because I didn't have the gun outfitted for a tripod over distance. So I am fucking gonna run this gun, because we could have shot two big animals and we couldn't get closer than 720 yards. Then my buddy Dustin, owner of Coltac, he like digested some information wrong. He was like, "Oh, our longest shot's gonna be 400. Don't worry." No, the minimum shot is 400. With so
they can see.
Yeah. 12
They
power
can
vision.
see so well.
12 power vision.
Yeah.
So
No, animals that have evolved to not getting eaten by lions have really good vision.
Yeah.
I was the same way. We got like 500. Every step I took towards them, they'd take two away from me.
Right.
And we were pretty well concealed. So we had to shut the hunt down when we first got on them until the next day and actually start planning walk. I mean, it was not easy. I was surprised. I was impressed.
Yeah, that's how we felt. Because, like, man, if I had a gun, if I had that 6.5 300, man, I would have fucking smashed potatoes at 720 yards, no problem. That kill box is huge. I just did not have a gun that I was confident in, so that's why I was like, I'm spending the money on this fucking gun, this setup, and it's gonna be, I'm gonna shoot it 3 times a year. So the barrel is carbon fiber wrapped, but there's an air gap between the core of the barrel and the exterior of the carbon fiber, and they rotate and twist the wrap under tension, so it keeps the center core of the barrel and the exterior under tension, so you don't need to break the gun in. Because at $12 a fucking shot right now, I don't want to do a 200 round break-in. And it's a carbon fiber barrel, and you don't want to get that hot. So they literally told me, my buddy's the director of marketing over at Weatherby now, and he's just like, nope, out the box, shoot a 3-shot group, be happy at 100 yards, get your dope and your velocity, and call it a fucking day. And I was like, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
4.6 pounds.
I'm not gonna bullshit. My break-in procedure ain't a lot different than that on proof barrels.
So you've had some exciting hunts this year.
Very, man. I had an amazing year this year. It started out in New Mexico on a friend of mine's ranch, all grass for antelope, all grasslands. So they're not eating sage. Those antelope taste great, as opposed to Wyoming antelope or Colorado antelope. But these things, the hard part is just rolling grasslands. So getting close is through hunting, myself, Melissa, and my buddy Ryan, we all took animals, and they all required really cool stalks.
Nice.
Crawling on your belly, like through cactuses and rocks, and making sure you don't crawl up on a rattlesnake,
Right.
So all those factors, right? And that's what I think so many people who don't hunt don't understand. A lot of times they see a picture of you sitting there, you're holding an animal, and they don't realize what the work that went into it, the experiences. Like I said, imagine crawling 200 and 300 meters across gravelly, rocky, cactus-laden terrain, while also making sure you don't crawl up on a rattlesnake. And when you say rattlesnake to people, they always think of big rattlesnake. No, I'm talking about even the little ones, because they'll F you up too.
Yeah, especially when you're in the face.
Right. You're leading with your noggin. And also now add into the situation the most precious thing on this planet to me, Melissa.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't want her to get bit in the face by a down rattlesnake. So I'm not just always looking out for me when I'm hunting with her. I can't help but be that protector type dude. That's just probably in my DNA. So all those things. And for her, man, her hunt was just awesome, right? Yeah, mine was cool. I center punched one at 530 meters. I had the video, the Tacticam attached to the rifle, and I actually remembered to turn it on because I got so excited for her that I forgot to turn the darn thing on. I did videotape her. I posted the video on Instagram. I was videotaping her on my camera, and only thing I had to do for her, man, she saw the animal. She spotted the animal because we'd split up and kind of separated about 100 meters, the three of us. So she's over here. I'm kind of in the middle. Ryan's over here. We're all glassing. And she gives me I look over and she's giving me the hand and arm signals that she's got one with antlers, or horns in this case. And I'm like, okay. So I go screen over there. And she's like, he's right over there. Lays him at 500. We're going to have to crawl to get any closer to him. We're going to go around here. She planned the stalk, man. She got us she was 301 meters from him is what she lays him at. He was facing away. He was by himself. But you know the deal. An antelope, man, they just have to move their head that much and they can see 360. Them suckers have like 270-degree vision. But it was just so cool, man. It was cool because it was her hunt. It wasn't me guiding her. It wasn't me anything, dude. She pulled her kestrel out. She dialed everything. She did all herself. Her gear, her gun, center punched that dude. He didn't take a step. Only thing I did, and you can hear me in the video, I give her a wind call. And winds were blowing 10 to 12 mile an hour, 100% value or perpendicular.
That's
for
good.
folks who don't know that verbiage.
You need that. You need someone with experience calling wind.
And I was like, yeah. And I just told her, I was like, right favor, center mass his body, pull the trigger, boom. She hammered it, and she's become quite a little long range shooter, man. It's kind of cool. She doesn't need me. She can go to the range right now with her gear and, open with 1,000-meter shot. She just doesn't need me. And that's good, right? And that's what's cool about long range these days is that so many people don't understand it's not the dark art that it used to be, right? Like you can go and learn to shoot long range from Todd Hyden or whoever else,
Right.
It's available. It's easy. But yeah, so that was awesome. We all three got nice antelope. I love the way antelope tastes. So that was a big score there. I got to take my very good friend Ryan Couperis along with me on Instagram. He's hunting Carolinas, man. He's a huge human being. He's like 300 pounds, 6'4", force recon dude, man. Just an awesome guy. I've known him for like 10 or 12 years now, him and his family. So I got to him for the and that was awesome. So after that, I had to go overseas and do a couple different things, Afghanistan and to pull out and all that was happening. Came home, turned around, immediately went to Alaska for moose and grizzly bear and was successful. Another kind of cool story. And it's funny, right? This is where anti-hunting and folks who don't hunt, who are neutral, don't understand. I reconnected with a high school friend of mine who moved to Alaska within, really close to when we graduated high school. I hadn't seen him since. And he's like, hey, come up here. Let's go hunting. And moose? Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. And I can kill a grizzly bear? Oh, okay. So we go 39 miles upriver from the dirt landing strip, right? Like it doesn't get much more Alaska than that, right? Remote. Set up camp and hunt moose. I got COVID while I was there. I picked it up and took it into camp. And I must have had like the Zulu variant because I was impressed. I didn't think COVID was all that to be worried about. Dude, it put me down. 2 days, I didn't leave hunting camp. I was a hurt pup. Bad headache, fever, body aches, all that stuff. The day I felt like hunting again, I went out and at 1,100 meters spotted bullwinkle. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it's getting late. Am I going to set a stalk on this guy or I'm going to freaking wait till tomorrow? Well, you know what I did? I started trying to get closer to him. He made me about that, but he had a cow with him, right? So he was pretty happy where he was at in life. And a female, for those of you guys that don't know the colloquial terms there. This bull, he had himself a mate. So he wasn't really worried about me. He had his mind on other things. I got 571 meters from him, set my tripod up, standing, and busted him. He went down hard, and it was amazing. And so anyway, it was getting a little late. It took 4 of us skilled guys who know how to process and butcher. It took us 4 hours
Jesus.
to cut that dude up. Yes, 1,500, 1,600 pound animal, man.
Jesus.
Yeah. So his antlers, 69 inches, bro.
Wow.
69 inches. To put that in perspective, the world record Yukon, which are the biggest moose on the planet, is 74 inches. So mine missed the record book by only a little bit. But not that matters, right? Because always tell people it's not what I'm hunting for. That's a bonus, right? For me, if I happen to stumble upon a male with huge bones going, his noggin, and that's just a bone. First, shoot a grizzly bear, and it was a female. She was a right healthy girl. She was 8 foot, about 650 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah, her claws big as my fingers, man. Big old girl. And it was kind of funny because she was swimming and I was in a boat. And so I'm pretty much qualified to be a Navy SEAL sniper now. Now I can shoot from a moving bow. But I joke. I'm like, that was some SEAL shit right there. But, just over 300 meters. As soon as she got on the land, stood up out of the land, I let her have it. Now, the funny thing about her was, right, when we got up there, she wasn't laying there. And I'm like, uh-oh, now what? I got to get out of the boat and go look for this damn grizzly bear. Luckily, it was a good shot. She walked 10 feet, and she was just where I couldn't see her. But when I hopped off that boat, I was at the low ready with that 300, like, uh-oh. Like, eaten by a grizzly bear.
It's no joke.
Yeah,
it happens.
Those things the size of a small freaking, sedan and can tear you apart. And them Alaska boys, man, they're serious about them grizzly bear. Like, when I went out after my moose, I went out by myself. And they were like, dude, we don't hunt by ourselves out here. And I'm like, I'll be okay. I don't consider myself the average outdoorsman, right? I spend most of my adult life outdoors, and I know how to pull security for myself, and I'm also not walking with my rifle slung over my shoulder. I'm walking with my rifle ready to go, right? Because you can literally they call it bear grass for a reason. The bear will lay down in this grass, and you cannot see them. You walk right up on them. You startle a daggone grizzly bear, you're getting opened up. You're getting torn in half. So anyway, great and awesome hunt. Fast forward a little bit. It was amazing. There's like, I'm not really, I don't talk like that. It's not how I see it. I'm hunting for food, right? The utmost respect for these animals, right? I take taking life very seriously, right? It's not some haphazard thing. This animal I'm going to kill it. It's going to give up its life to feed me and my family. That's a big deal to me. But at the same time, it's not like necessarily some kind of spiritual thing necessarily. I'm a practical person, but the hunt was darn close to an experience,
right?
It was just that amazing to reconnect with a good friend of mine reconnect with that relationship, and pick up. I felt like we picked up where we left off, 20 something years ago. It was huge. And then I got to meet a bunch of other really cool fellas, right? Really cool. So that was Alaska. I think you can tell just from us starting to talk about it, like just thinking about it, I'm like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, the reminiscing of it.
Yeah. Then Idaho, bro. Idaho.
Always a mess.
Elk, public land, do it yourself, right? I got to pick these hard hunts. I keep joking with people. If I was smart, I would just pay a guide in Mexico and pay for a ranch tag and just go kill an elk. But that's not the thing, right? Like, it's the hunt. But yeah, 9 days in the mountains of Idaho, snow, sleet, freezing rain, no elk. Backcountry hunting. It doesn't get any more difficult than that. And not successful again. Not successful again.
They're so
but
deep in those cuts.
Yeah, man. And we happen to be there right this year. The season, Idaho season is always the first through the ninth. That rifle season, and it was four nice bull. Three of them were shooters. One of them was really nice, big guy, but they were at 6 meters ridge line that I couldn't have gotten to them. We went after them the next day. We hunted them for 3 or 4 days. Didn't get them, but I got to spend 5 days in the mountains with my girlfriend. I'm so lucky when it comes to that lady. That she'll throw on a backpack, right? Like me and you carry a 60-pound pack, and that's what it takes to go in those mountains for 2 to 3 days. What are we carrying? A third of our body weight? Hardly. You're a big guy. She weighs 120, 130 pounds on any given day. You put a 60-pound pack on her, it's like me and you carrying 100 plus.
Right. And
she puts it on and takes off, and the rest of us are just trying to keep up.
She's a little unit, dude.
And she doesn't complain. She doesn't whine. She knows how to use her equipment, right? Like, I don't have to show her how to eat. Like, my girl on my Jeep throws me a lighter, kind of is like, that's what you get for buying the one with the igniter. Who went with me after antelope in New Mexico, came on that trip. Another really good friend of mine, Andrew. He got to be there for a couple other guys. First couple days, we got close dudes. Just a great hunt, even though not successful, And I think so many people don't understand that about hunting, right?
I did it. I did an elk hunt, bro, and I didn't shoot nothing, and I was up there for 9 days, so I get it.
Yeah,
it's an adventure.
Yeah. It is. It's armed camping and hiking.
Yep.
But now I had to go right after that. I came home for 3 days, hopped on a plane back to Montana. And this is why I say my girlfriend's awesome. While she really wants to go hunting, she doesn't care that I go hunting.
Right.
I came home for 3 days, and then on the 4th day, got on a plane, flew to Montana, and met up with my buddy Johnny Nettles, who used to be on Instagram. Folks who used to know Johnny on Instagram, he's a stud. Been around this community for a long time, long range guy. Met him and his wife out there. And we linked up with our host, the ranch owner. And when I say ranch, this isn't a high fence ranch. This is a working cattle ranch.
Right.
Not like Yellowstone. Like, the owner and a couple of his friends work these cattle. Hardworking guys. He invited me out to hunt on his property. And so me and Johnny Nettles and Danny, his wife, went out that morning. Sun comes up, and I start glassing. And I went from like here to here and went, whoa, I got him. It was a herd of like 60 to 80 elk, bro.
Wow.
So sun's coming up. It must have been a few minutes before 7 o'clock, 7-ish. We started our stalk. 2 miles. Not really, cattle, right? So the closest we could get was 650. Well, not a big deal. I want to count down 3, 2. On the 1 of 1, me and Johnny shot, 2 up went down. Rotated off, Danny put her 1 down. And so we had 3 elk on the ground within an hour, maybe an hour and a half after sunrise on the first day.
That's awesome.
And it totally made up for Idaho. And then same guy, Ryan, he went home and he got authorization from his wife to turn right back around. He met me that Monday night. So he showed up and we've got 3 elk. And so he and I go hunting the next day, and Danny and John as well. We don't see anything. And the next day, we don't see anything. So he's all like, I can't believe I missed the herd.
It happens. That's rare, bro. That's rare to see herds like that with all those wolves.
Yeah. Especially this early in the season. With Johnny and Danny, they had to go back home to Idaho. They took off. And in Montana, whitetail are big, but they don't have huge antlers, right? They're 200-pound big old male bulls, male bucks. And so we decided to go ahead and put a stalk on those guys. And so we both put down nice. They're probably 9-pointers. In North Carolina, we would call them 10-pointers. And both of them right at 200 pounds, big whitetail, man. And in Montana, apparently the whitetail are just, everybody wants to hunt mule deer and elk in Montana. And so it's really easy to hunt them. They're just everywhere. Like at night, it's like North Carolina, you gotta be careful. You'll run one over. Our host, we were following him into town and he smashed one.
Yep.
And so we were lucky there last day. We had been all over his 20-some thousand acre ranch and hadn't seen nothing, no fresh sign, nothing. And I said, hey, man, we can go over there. We can go over there. Where do you want to go? I mean, I got nothing at this point. He's like, well, let's go back over there. Well, it was a good call because we got up on top of the mountain. And it's like 10 degrees. It's cold. It was 2 degrees, -1 degrees when we got up that morning. Cold day. And we're hiking along, walking along. And I looked and I'm like, holy crap, there's a pile of elk. Poop, beak. So I have to start watching my mouth. But so here's this pile of elk bullshit. And a lot of folks may not know this, but there's a clear distinction between male poop and cow poop, right? That folded over and it's steaming. It's steaming. It's fresh. Like he just dropped it. We pushed him. So we start going movement to contact. We're just creeping. Sure enough, we jumped in. He was 20 meters away, ran down, up and over. And Ryan takes a standing offhand shot at about 140, 150 meters, smacks him. He racks it. He's racking his gun. I'm worried we're going to lose the animal. I know he hit it because I heard his round hit the animal.
Yeah.
But it's about to go over the next ridgeline. I smacked him with 1, 2, and he went down. There, Ryan's put he's shooting that 6.8 Western, that modernized 270, and he center. The animal was dead. He just didn't know it. Another amazing hunt. I considered like maybe I just will stop hunting because I don't know that I'll ever have a better year of hunting than this year.
Yeah, dude, you hit like every major game species in North America. Like, go fuck yourself, Tony. Yeah. Thanks.
But give me some credit, man. I have hunted elk the last 6 years unsuccessfully.
You deserved it. Yeah, good year.
Got one.
So I'll quickly brief over mine because they're not as exciting. But I got Dustin Coleman and I did the Oryx, and we both dropped we dropped two boys, two males. They were brothers, probably twins. We dropped both of them at the same time, 387 yards or 337, I think. And we went through snake grass and single filed it. Like I saw like Dustin creeping up along left on me, and I was like, "Get behind me!" He's like, "Why?" I was like, "Rattlesnakes." Like form a line. We got on there. We got to like a little like island of dirt in the middle of the sea of grass, and we bumped them with the truck. We drove up, and then when we glassed back, they were behind us, and they had thought we had already left. And then we stalked in from we're about 900 meters. We dropped about it was like we were out like 700, 800 meters. We closed the gap and dropped our animals, and we had both animals quartered out, butchered, and caped within, I don't know, maybe an hour for two animals. They were smaller though. They were like just around 300 pounds each. But you know, with oryx hunting, you take what you can fucking get, because we might not. This was day one though, so we got out in the morning, saw those big animals, couldn't get close, went home, took a nap, had some lunch, hopped back in the truck for like end of the day, and there's our animals. So we got it done early, and we packed out. Now, what I fucking stupidly didn't do is I didn't deep freeze my meat, because we had two animals at the house, so we put them in a cooler. He was going to drive his back. I should have deep froze my meat, because I was flying mine back in a cooler. Well, we got stuck in Chicago, and they made me pour all my ice out at the airport. And I had 99 pounds of meat in the cooler, and I made weight. And they made me pour all the ice out, so it was cold. Then we got into Chicago, and I'm dealing with a crisis at the shop. And Jorge sitting next to me. He's like, "They canceled our flight." I was like, "What?" They didn't like reschedule. They like grounded all planes out of Chicago. We're like, "What the fuck?" So Jorge's like, "I got us a hotel already. It's over there. We'll hop in an Uber." So we go down to bagging, and I'm like, "Can I get my cooler at least so I can, get ice and keep it cold?" Lady's like, "Nope, nope, no access." I was like, "Where is it going to be stored?" I was like, "It's overweight, so it's going to be under a bunch of bags on a cart." She goes, "Oh, we leave them outside." It's like 97 fucking degrees and humid in Chicago. And I am shitting myself. And I have to go home and fucking axe people, right? Like, I'm dealing with a fucking crisis at my shop, and I found out all this awful stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, right? So I'm like lawyers and all this other stuff, and then trying to bitch at the airline, like, I need my fucking meat, like that's a $1,600 tag, like fuck you. And my wife picks me up in New Hampshire the next evening, and I get home, get home. First thing I do, I had another freezer empty, ready to go. The bags were wet. I didn't dry them off. I just literally dumped them into the freezer. They were still cold. Like the meat was still. I bought a good cooler. I invested in a good cooler just in case. I spent the extra $100 on a cooler. They were a little bit of condensation on them, but they were like cold to touch. Like my fingies was cold after loading it in there. I wish I wiped it down because they didn't freeze. I got lucky, and my wife's like, "I need you to stop for 2 seconds. Like, I know you got the meat in the fridge, you got a lot going on at the shop, but," and I like broke down. I was like, "I'm going to be a dad, aren't I?" And she just, she told me the good news. So yeah, that was interesting day. Kind of tough.
Congrats on that.
Thank you so much. Kind of tough though, having to cut ties with a bunch of shit in the same day you find out you're gonna be a dad, and then just be like, man, I want to enjoy the great news, but I have business to take care of. So everything is good, everything's fine, got everything righted, ship's righted, everything's good. I'm gonna be a dad. That was my first hunt to kick off hunting season. And then last time we talked, I got that puppy, dude. So I got that Deutsch Katar GSP German lineage dog. Started hunting her October 3rd. And I hunted her 3 days a week. We put a lot of miles on her, and I probably shot 50 birds over her. She's a fucking monster. Fucking awesome monster. Now, she did get her injuries this year too. So I think in the summer when we were working her on woodcock and some woodcock cover, she caught a thorn in her neck. And what happened was her fatty tissue actually calcified around the injury. So it was a few weeks ago, I found a 1-inch lump in her neck, and we had to go through the x-rays and scans and talk to the board of surgeons for veterinary in New Hampshire. And they scanned it, and it's like, it looks like a cotton ball, like really porous bone material. But her body's autoimmune response to an injury when she was younger was to create a calcium deposit around the injury, and it scales with her. So as she grows, it grows with her. And the reason why we didn't notice it is it's sitting right against her scapula. And I heard it. And the only reason why I knew it was there is we had our first like freeze, like icy deck, and she fell down the deck and hurt herself that morning. She bruised something. So she wasn't eating, and I was like, why isn't she eating? So I'm feeling her down, and I find the lump, and I think the lump was from the impact down the stairs. And then after a few days, there was no swelling around the lump, and I was like, this is weird. This is an old injury, so we got it checked out. So she's okay. What is that?
Good.
No surgery, doesn't need it as long as it doesn't get any bigger. And then on her third hunt of the year, she abraded her like wrist area where the tendons are, lost fur. It was little, like a thorn hooked her and opened her up. And then I didn't notice it, and then I hunted her again, and it like got big. Like her whole wrist was opened up. But didn't slow her down. So I started bag bomb and wrapping it. And every once in a while, like the shit would fall off and she'd open back up again. So that unfortunately lasted most of the season, was that superficial wound, but did not fucking slow her down. And she's good on everything but grouse. She's running through them still. She's not long pointing them, but at the very end of the season, she started to learn how to long point. Because woodcock, you can stand on them and they won't flush. And then and that's a wild migratory bird for people that don't know. And then they stock pheasant in the state of New Hampshire. They stock like 30,000 birds. And we were still finding pheasants in shit fucking covers 3 weeks after the last stock. So we still limited out almost every time we went hunting. We were never unsuccessful over her. And then I just took her to an upland club last week and ran her for her end of the season roundup. And I paid for 10 birds to be put out. She moved like 18 other birds, like ones that are like wild, living on the property in the fields that have roosted and on. And because we work her in grouse and woodcock covers in the shit and the thorns and the mud, she didn't want to hunt the field. She's like, this field sucks, too much snow, going in the bushes. So she spent most of the hunt in the fucking bushes bumping birds, like putting birds up. And so we got a lot to work on though. She's a little hard jawed. A little too hard on her retrieves. She moves with the birds only if she can see him. So a rooster, if she points a rooster and he starts running, she'll move with him, which is good and bad. In an open, like if she's under a bush and she's trying to get him out, that's fine. Like I want her to get the bird out. But I posted a video. She grabbed an ice cube hanging off of its tail feather, one of the rooster's tail feathers, and wouldn't let it go. And then she ran him down and killed him. And she does grab birds if you put the bird between you and the dog's nose. So if we do get a runner, she'll fucking grab it, which some bird doggers will say, no. But, we're trying to teach them to fucking bring you the fucking bird. So I don't know. I'm a little indifferent.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's kind of splitting hairs when guys get into that. It's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, man, you're trying to teach the pup to bring you the bird, dead or alive. So right. I always, and I know this isn't right, but I always kind of thought it was pretty cool when a dog jumps up and snatches a bird out of the air as it flushes. It's like now the dog's hunting. And I appreciate it, even though I know it's not what we want the dog to do.
Right.
But I still appreciate it.
Right. So it's good. And I ended up investing in a new. On a hunt. Oh, sorry. Say that again.
Oh no! I said we need to get together on a hunt.
Oh fuck yes, dude! Absolutely.
I don't know what next year is going to look like for me, but I've promised myself I'm not going to let this whole campaign and running completely overtake my life. We'll see. So I want to still hunt. I haven't decided. Clearly, if the primary works out, great. Well, then November is going to be interesting for that Idaho hunt falls right there on that general election time frame. So I'm looking at maybe a Colorado hunt, with their over the counter, probably the second season for elk. I've hunted in Colorado 3 times, not successful. I mean, it's harder than Idaho.
Sick.
But, I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment when it comes to elk. I like to just give states that I don't live in non-resident tag money and then not take an animal. That's my trend. But
we could do a summer hunt. We could do oryx on range. I'm putting in for April for a tag for a broken horn. Aaron Bauer wants us to go for broken horn because I guess oryx, when they break a horn, they put all that energy into big body mass. So if you get a double broken horn female, you're getting like a 600-pound animal.
Dang. I didn't know that about them.
Yeah, if they break horns, they put all their energy into body mass production rather than horn production. So we're doing that. Putting in for April.
Put in for and this is a hard one to draw, but I want to put in for ibex in the Florida mountains.
That'd be fucking cool.
Not an easy hunt, man. Those Florida mountains, like flat desert mountains, and they're ibex, and I want to do that with a bow. And I want to do antelope with a bow this year.
Yeah, good luck.
Antelope season in New Mexico is 4 days. So I said I would dedicate the first 2 to bow this year.
Dude,
probably the owner of the property I hunt on is like, that's dumb. You'll never get one.
Yeah, don't tell you that. You're going to fucking get one. Right. Aaron showed me a picture of one of his clients. They shot an antelope he's been watching for a few years now. The horns, like the front to back of the horns, are this fucking thick.
Yeah, those thick guys.
Like just massive horn. And I'm like, Jesus, fuck, how does it keep its head up,
Right. The big antelope with the big horns, man, they look crazy head top heavy, but they're hollow horns, so they don't weigh anything.
Right. Yeah, so I ended up upgrading a shotgun. I bought a Savage Fox through a buddy who used to work at Savage. So nice side-by-side 20. It weighs half as much as all my other 20s. So that became a bird whacking machine at the end of the season. And getting like those high-ready snaps on things, dude, I was so fast with them. Like a little too fast. Like shooting birds a little too close.
Chewing them up a little bit.
Well, I'm used to like moving around like a 6-pound shotgun, and now I'm running like a 4-pound shotgun, and I'm like, holy shit, this thing moves. But I did a post, and I tagged you, and I don't know if you saw it, but I was talking about on the wing shooting. I posted the picture of the shotgun, and I
didn't see it, man.
I might have mentioned you in the comments, but not tagged. But it's like, you might think this is a FUD gun, but Tony Cowden in his class will say on the wing shooting. Port arms, you're getting a lot more experience, and it's true, man. It fucking is.
Yeah. I will tell you, throughout my career, man, so the best shoes with the M4, CQB, whatever, they came from bird hunting backgrounds, man. Dove hunting, quail hunting, ducks, clearly, and they're just intuitive shooters as far as snapping up faster and all that kind of stuff. We were shooting some skeet in the front yard. I have a high-end low house in the front yard.
Oh, nice.
It came with the property. Wow. The guy who owned this before us put them in. So it's like push button, and it'll throw doubles and all that. So we were blasting away yesterday for some of the videos and stuff we were doing. But it turned into a blast session for the boys hammering skeet, man. That's pretty hilarious.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Have you ever done sea ducks?
Not true sea ducks. We used to hunt the bluebills.
Yep.
And they are considered sea ducks, but we were hunting them in the river, not on sea. They're diver ducks. And so basically, when I was growing up, I grew up in Pamlico County, North Carolina, on the Pamlico Sound, Moose River, Bay River, and we would typically hunt the swamps in the mornings for your teals, your wood ducks, your puddle ducks, the little fast flyer dudes through the woods, which is exciting. But it's a quick hunt. I mean, it's a couple of shots, you're done for the day. They're not coming back. And then in the afternoon, we would go shoot the river ducks or hunt the river ducks. And that was a little longer because they would circle, try to light the decoys. You shoot them up, they fly off. Another group comes through, and you could get, quite a bit of hunting in on that. So yes, I have hunted some of those animals, but not really in the open sea like some of you guys do up north.
Yeah. That's the guy that bred my dog and trained my dog, her trainer, Dave Tran. He's president of NAVDA, which is a bonus. So, she's registered in NAVDA. She's registered in the German system. So we're going to be doing force fetching all through winter and some obedience stuff in lieu of my kid being born in April. But he's been taking me sea duck hunting, and he wanted to see if I was seaworthy. I was like, motherfucker, I'm from Cape Cod. I was born on a boat practically. So I'm working his duck boat, and he's like, all right, you're good. Like, I'm going to invite you again. You're eager to get the decoys out and run the strings, and, you're not afraid to get your hands cold. And the first day we went out, we ran out late because he wanted it sun up so we could get the boat ready because it was the first launch of the season. So I helped him essentially get all his strings set for the season, get them all ready. And there's this big rock off of Rye Beach in Rye, New Hampshire. Now, New Hampshire has 17 miles of coastline, which is tiny. So we're out in Rye, and we had like 6 or 7 foot swells, and I didn't eat that morning because I was like running late because he wanted me at his house kind of early, and I didn't get some good sleep the night before, and I drank an energy drink and didn't eat any food. So that's like, never drink coffee on an empty stomach and then go on a boat, right? Any type of caffeine, it makes you sick. I don't boot though. Like, I was just like, all right, stand up, eyes on the horizon, let it mellow back out, like whatever. And he's like, Alex, 10-foot lead. We're shooting like number 2 bismuth loads, heavy shot, I was using his Beretta A400 auto gun, and he's like 10-foot lead. I didn't realize that sea ducks are that fucking fast, dude. I mean, I was putting like 8-foot leads, and I was still 2 feet behind the bird, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, these are hard. And then like a buddy was like, yo, if you shoot a sea duck, you see it down, keep fucking shooting it till its belly and legs are sticking up, because they'll dive and they'll kill themselves. They'll literally commit suicide, and then they'll succumb to their wounds while they're holding under. They'll grab onto a weed or wedge themselves under a rock, and then they expire because they have some injury that might be letting water in, right? So or blood out. So yeah, or bleeding out, right? But dude, their feathers are so dense that they don't show blood, right? So I'm like, we put down a bunch of birds, and they're sitting up looking at us and shit, wings blown off and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna keep fucking shooting. Don't start the motor. Like, let me fucking shoot him. Dave's like, no, we're good. We get there, they dive, never get them again. Just like, everyone's told me you gotta shoot. I mean, dude, you gotta remember, this ammo, number 2 heavy shots, $2 a fucking shell. We shot a sea duck last Saturday. I went out again with him and a couple other guys. We shot a duck 13 fucking times. And he kept diving. I mean, at least 1 or 2 pellets per volley were fucking hitting this thing. Nope, just kept diving. The dives were shorter. He come back up and finally fucking murdered that thing. But number 2 heavy shot at 30 yards, 10-foot lead. I mean, Dave missed a couple, and I whacked one. And this thing, dude, 20 feet out of the air, just fucking hammered. The second it hit water, dove. You're like, what? Like, I just watched a plume of feathers come off this thing, hit the water, and go.
That's bismuth and steel shot. Back in the day, shooting lead, the boys went down hard,
right.
And I think that's another one of those things, and clearly hunting is near and dear to my heart. Do you follow the fellow who runs Blood Origins?
No.
Blood Origins, man, write it down. He puts out a lot of great information on conservation efforts around the world. Lots of interviews with hunters, folks who weren't hunters, who became hunters. Just a great site. So all you guys, if you're listening to this, man, check out Blood Origins. But anyway, the efforts to save animals by people who are not hunters have caused more problems, right? Like, and that's another thing. So many people don't realize it's hunters that fund conservation efforts through the different acts and taxes. Everything you buy for hunting, money goes to conservation. People don't know this stuff. And I'm sure at some point in my life, I didn't know it either. but the whole idea of not shooting lead at ducks has led to exactly what you're talking about, the pain and suffering of animals, because we're shooting them with stuff that's not going to kill them outright. Right? Like
shoot
you
10,
have to have
recover
that
5.
Right. It's, you know what I mean? And then the other 5 go and die. It's so stupid, but you can't explain that to a non-hunter because they don't know any better.
Right.
It's just like the problems we have in the gun community. Anti-gunners don't understand the guns they're trying to ban. Well, the same with the hunting thing, man. And that lead shot piece, of course, you know, I remember my dad's buds, they were like, that's a dumb law. We're going to keep shooting lead. And finally, a couple of them got busted for it. And a lot of folks don't know this, but when you're shooting a federal migratory bird, you're dealing with federal crimes. And once the game warden, and especially a federal game warden, arrests you for shooting birds with something with lead shot when you're supposed to be using steel or bismuth, and that's a federal crime. One of my dad's buds, man, he lost his hunting rights for his entire life, you know. But my point here is that's just more stuff that our politicians, being the ignorant folks they are, have allowed these laws to be lobbied that seem like great ideas, right? Good idea, Ferry, but practically speaking, right? Like if I shoot lead shot into the air and it rains down on the water and it sinks to the bottom, the ducks are not eating it, right? They're not going to get lead poisoning and die.
Right.
But then now I have to shoot them with bismuth and they don't die like we were talking about. Just more, I don't know. We digress from cool hunting. So
it's fucked up. No, you brought up a good point because like I used to run out of Rye Beach with an environmental survey company, and we used to move buoys for the state where they would dump dredge material or like dredge material from rivers. Well, guess what's at the bottom of rivers after dredge material? That's all that runoff and waste and sediment. Now we're going out to the ocean and dumping it. What the fuck's the difference between like lead shot coming out of a gun on the ocean does zero harm to the environment, whereas dumping dredge material, human waste, and other things, and then moving the buoy around so they can just keep dumping. It's fucking stupid, dude.
It is, man.
I'm on the same page. It's funny. I was just talking about Dave and Sea-Duck. You just texted me, hey, you want to go out tomorrow? Fuck. I really want to sleep tomorrow. Like, I have to be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning if I want to go fucking Sea-Duck hunting. I ordered shells last week. They never showed up. They haven't showed up yet. So I have no shells. I still don't have an auto gun, so I'm borrowing his. Like, I feel bad. I'm just like, yeah, can I like give you money for ammo? Like, I feel like such a fucking bum, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah, it is. When you find a hunting partner that is willing to work the decoys and not whine or cry about being cold, then you know what? He'll probably happily let you run some shotgun shells.
He brought me a little ammo case. He's like, just keep count, you know, and throw me a buck a shot, you know.
Throw it back. Yeah.
So, you know, I throw it out for gas, and we get lunch after, and I buy him lunch, and it's fun, you know, and he knows I run the boat really good. And tomorrow it's supposed to be tomorrow might be a fucking good day because it's supposed to be in the 50s all week instead of fucking 10 degrees like the other day. But yeah.
Well, it's 5 degrees here today.
Wild.
It was cold and messy. Today, 75 degrees.
Well, let me do the outro real quick because I want to talk to you real quick because my wife's texting me like, it's dinner time. Come fucking cook.
Go cook. Yeah, you better
time
go cook.
to go cook because we got pheasant and I got to get fucking cooked up. But yeah, this was episode 21 with Tony Cowden. He announced his intent for congressional running, and we talked hunting. And it's not about firearms training. It's not about all this other stuff. It's this is the stuff that we want to talk about, the important stuff to us. So, Tony, thank you so much for being on this podcast. And again, taking your time out of your busy and future busy schedule. And, you said we want to go on a hunt together. You name the place, I'll be there. I'll bring Jorge.
All right. Yeah, we'll line it out for sure. And thank you so much for having me on here. You know, your support, allowing me to talk about what we're going to do, getting the word out. You know, that's all I'm asking anybody and everybody to do is, you know, help put me in in that congressional seat, in that representative seat. That word means something. And I'll do the best I can. I will not buckle. I have a spine. I'm not a politician and I don't want to be one. So I promise I'm not going to be there 10 years from now, right? I'm just not going to do it. I'll do the best I can to help this country. I believe in this country. She's savable, right? She's still worth it. All of us who are watching this podcast, we got to get active. And as this thing progresses, I'm going to try to help explain ways to folks how they can truly get active. So like I said, man, I appreciate this. I'm getting ready to embark on a whole new endeavor that's probably going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's not going to be easy. You know, I know some of my opponents are probably going to try to attack my character or something, you know.
Always.
Yeah, that's the ugly part of politics, you know. I'm not worried about any of that. The few skeletons I have in my closet, there's not many people on this planet these days that can't relate to them. And I own it, right? I own anything and everything I've done that wasn't nice or wasn't awesome or that I owe the IRS taxes, whatever. Yeah, man. I look at it like this. I told somebody the other day, I'm like, yeah, I owe, a few $1,000s in taxes. I'm nowhere near Al Sharpton, bro. So anyway, I digress, man. Again, thank you so much. Go fix up that pheasant for the wife. Congratulations on the youngin'.
Thank you.
And the dog. Freaking, I'm glad she's doing well. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I'll talk to you soon. I'll be talking to Jorge, man. Freaking. And anyway, here we go. It's gonna be an interesting 2022.
Hell yeah.